Hello, hello, hello. Greetings and salutations to you, people of the interwebs. So, we're on the Monday after TFUKcon 2024. I keep wanting to say 2014 for some reason because, time is gone, whereas it's meaningless. It's 2024, TFUKcon. We're celebrating 40 years of the Transformers. And it just feels like it was a couple of years ago we were doing the Thrilling 30. It doesn't feel like that was a decade ago. But here we are. I'm certainly look like it's definitely been a heavy 10 years. But we're not talking about me. We're going to slightly talk about me. But mostly we're going to talk about TFUKcon. If you've never been to a TFUKcon, it's a convention. It's held in May predominantly. I think that's the around about date that they're gonna be going for this. It was this year and the year before, and probably moving forward. That's where it's gonna sit. This time we're in Birmingham. The convention itself was in the Cobden Hotel Suites, and it was a decent enough place. It looked a bit shabby on the outside, but inside it was it was a sweet spot. It was a great room, spacious, airy, well lit, plenty of sunlight. There was this huge garden outside that you could go and chill out when you're having too much of sitting down on chairs and looking at Transformers and stuff like that. So yeah, and the TFUK cons tend to be it's a smaller convention. It's more intimate. They capped the tickets to about 100 this year, so 100 guests or so, plus obviously the other the people who were guests and guests. Who do attendees. 100 capped at about 100 or so attendees plus guests. Yeah. So we had Simon Furman, Lee Sullivan, and Chris McFeely. Toys R Us from the YouTubes was there, and then there's a Transformers the show people. If I've forgotten some people, I'm probably just my brain's melting. It was a long weekend. It was a fun weekend, but what's going on? So we had also some virtual elements where there was an interview from Bob, Uncle Bobby himself. Let's say Bob Carroll cheese. And spit the dog. Now, Buddy Yancey's name is almost completely just dribbled out my ear. Hello, welcome back, YouTube. It's me. You thought you got rid of me? No chance. We're hammering on. That's where we're going. We're going to try and beat the burnout. So, you had a virtual interview with Bob Budiansky as well. And so various other guests and people within the Transformer, both from behind the scenes and also within, famous people within the fandom, but also left various video messages and kind of celebrating a happy birthday to Transformers and a happy anniversary, which was nice. It was really nice. There was, so we had like a party feel. There was balloons everywhere. There was party hats, various other things, little party games going on. There was like a pass the parcel at some point. Simon Furman did Simon Furman Says. So it was all crazy. Cake. There was also a bar that did be a reasonable price. Going to a convention and paying under £5 for a beer is it's golden. It's golden. Don't listen to the gaunts. It does hydrate you. Right? Beer hydrates. It's got bubbles and it's made of liquid. Of course it hydrates you. I digress somewhat slightly. Uh, shall we try and break this down in some kind of chronological order, just to try and anchor this somewhere? Because otherwise, we'll just dribble on. There was a Friday night. It was a unofficial. This isn't the convention hasn't yet started, but the place has let the attendees come in on the Friday night to have a meet up and sit around and purchase drinks and food. There was also a food menu that had translated various of the food items into quaint little transform names. Like there was a Grimlock burger, which was a beef burger. There was a Deathsaurus burger, which was a death burger. It was a chicken burger. There was a Cosmos pizza. The pizzas, my word, the pizzas were not very expensive, and they were massive. You know, I could just about do 3/4 of that pizza, and I can eat a lot. So, yeah, big pizzas, baguettes, sandwiches, all that kind of stuff that is essential for surviving through a convention. So that was available. You could get that on the Friday when there was not much going on. We were just meeting up really for who was coming down on the Friday night. So it was a really nice sort of chill evening. Sat mostly in the beer garden area on these benches and having a drink, catching up, and just that general kind of meet up type of stuff. Hey, how you doing? What you been buying? You're all right. Yeah, you're keeping well, and it's. I can't stress how important that is. It's a really kind of. There's no stress. Oh no, what am I going to buy? What am I going to purchase? What panels on and stuff like that. There's no stress of that. You just know that you're just there at that occasion just to meet up and just to make time with people and bust each other's chops, or have a good old conflab. But there was the odd thing that happened, which will remain. What happens at TFUKcon stays at TFUKcon. But there were some gift givings as well, because Lee had these little it's not a micro machine. Even these micro machine shout. It's a monster truck. Mattel is a Hot Wheels brand, but this is like some kind of fishy monster truck. He had a bag full of these, and you press the key, it fires off like that. Oh, it shows violence every time. So that's a cool little toy that many of us have taken home with us. And also at the end of the night, when we were packing up and getting rid, so we wanted to leave the hall relatively tidy, so the take-in in the morning would go smoothly. Some little tinker, and I'm not even sure who slipped this into my bag. There's a few of these going around, and I'm not sure who was giving these out. So it's a Transformers Q lockdown. Might have been Paul Farrelly. He slipped this one into my bag. I'm not 100% sure, because it was too complex a transformer for him. So we got that, and that was Friday night. The first one to enter, one of the last ones to leave. Then we went back to the hotel we were actually staying at, had a few more drinks with some of the other attendees. Until the early hours. It was a fantastic night, an important night, a good kind of de-stressor from the travel, a good kind of just general catch-up and introduction to people. Icebreaker. That's a good ice-breaking evening. We'll say that. And so then the Saturday itself, I got down to the convention, and from going to the previous years where there was only really a handful of traders, it was actually quite a surprise. I didn't realise quite how many traders were going to be at this event, so I hadn't really planned to buy anything, because I was like, I've got most of the stuff that I want, and most of the stuff that I want that I don't have is stuff that is pre-ordered or stuff that's just insanely unattainable. So obviously I'm not really planned to buy anything in particular, but I popped down to Rohan's corner, reasonable Rohan, and I thought I might as well, you know, it's good to see him, good to catch up, and so I thought I'd buy a couple of things off him. I do like rhinos, and I've never had a G1 ram horn before, so I bought ram horn off him. He's great. He's great. I do. It's just so simple and great, and just can't wait to see some updates of him. I believe there might be some kind of Legacy or Kingdom or Studio Series version coming out at some point. But I'm probably more interested to see what MMC do in the kind of I was going to say Reactivision or revision or whatever the line they call the remix. I think that's what they branded where they do the tapes. Yeah, so I've got the Ravage, and yeah, I'm quite kind of keen to see what the Ram horn looks like. I'll definitely probably be going in for that. And at the same time, I also bought this because I've seen he managed to pick up a few of these from someone who, one of the stores that was selling these cheaply, but unfortunately there's none around my area. It's the Super 7 Reaction Series, or Reflection, no, it is Reaction, I can't read the font, figure, and this is Unicron, as you can probably tell, and it's based off the prototype for what an actual Unicron toy would have been like in 1986 had they actually followed through with it. And you know, when we see the photos of the prototype, we think, well, that's stupid, glad that never came out. And now I actually see it in 3D, as it were. I'm not sure. I think it would have, yeah, it would have been silly, but I think at the same time it also would have been a beloved figure in many people's collections. And you know, round boys don't get represented enough. That's all I can say. Now the plan is to keep this on the card and, you know, pin it up somewhere, but in travel, that card's got a little bit bended, and hopefully I can get it to just settle down a bit so I can pin it up on the wall. Otherwise, I might just open and see what the action figureness of this is, because by looking at it, I don't think there's much in the ways of articulation. There's definitely no like elbow bends or knee bends and stuff, so I think it's just a little bit of movement on the legs and a little bit on the arms and maybe a head turn. But just the colours and everything and the sculpt detail, it really looks great. It really looks great, and you know, the artwork's funny as well, so hopefully I can get that to stay on its card. It's giant and 6 inches. Hey, that's what she said. And that is pretty much it for my purchases. I did win one round of Pass the Parcel. I won a plush Megatron getting reformatted little plushy thing, but I decided it would be better to pass that on to someone else whose children might appreciate it more than just getting stuffed in a box here somewhere and gathering dust. So that's just the way it is. Sometimes you're just going to pass things on. Well, yeah, it was great to see Simon Berman's panel with Lee Sullivan talking about the G1 Marvel comic, as you should probably predict, because you wouldn't really want to get Simon Furman on to discuss something else like the weather or something like that, would you? You know. So yeah, he's talking about that and their times together, because obviously, you know, Lee was another one of the artists, you know, predominantly doing things in Time Wars, and he was talking about the things they could get away in a Transformers comic that obviously Marvel UK would not let them people get away in any of the kind of human superheroes, like in Time Wars when Galvatron gets completely just torn apart and his eye ripped out and stuff like that. It's like, well, you couldn't do that to a villain in any other, you know, they're not gonna let them do that to Magneto or someone like that. So they said it's quite fun, when we're working with robots, you can get away with a lot, even with when working in a child-friendly comic, and essentially saying that a lot of people forget that comics are predominantly for children, and that we really enjoy them because we're still children at heart and have decided not to let that side of us go, to still find that joyful enthusiasm in things. And yeah, so that was a great panel as always. Just having a bit of problem with water on my ears, so I kind of missed Toys R Us's stuff about his toy, but I did have a look at his table and some of the figures that he brought. And I did catch some of his panel. It's just I wasn't hearing very well, so I was kind of stepped out. But he was also talking about the joy of like being able to, as an adult, find these figures that weren't attainable, or you couldn't get when you were a kid, or you didn't get, or you'd been passed up on, because obviously the 80s and family life and things like that, that you couldn't always have every figure that you wanted because your parents couldn't afford that. And that's definitely a thing. I'm a youngest child, so I'm used to living a life on hand-me-downs really and stuff. So yeah, I appreciate that idea. And then from there, it's getting figures that you knew existed but weren't available, like Swoop and stuff like that. You couldn't get in the UK. And from there, it was like saying, and then you get all these books and stuff like that, and you find out about all these Japanese Transformers that were never in the Western releases, were never in any of the Western media. And just finding out that they exist, and then getting them and finding them, and finding various ways to purchase these really kind of quite rare now figures, and then from there getting the bug for the rareness, and going like, well, what about variations? I'm not quite a variations person, or really kind of into getting massive G1 stuff, but yeah, it's good to hear that kind of perspective, and looking at the figures that he brought along with him, like Landcross and stuff. I've been tempted by a Landcross, but I kind of want someone to have a go at making a modern Landcross rather than chasing down a vintage one. I quite like the idea, and I think it's ripe for reinvention, and I think it would look cool if someone, Hasbro, Takara, MMC, Magic Square, whoever, had a go at making one. I think it'd be Iron Factory probably our preferred one. But yeah, that was great. And there was the so let's say there was the video thing with Bob Budiansky. There was the YouTubers roundtable, which I am quite shocked and offended as one of the roundest YouTubers. I was not invited to that. But yeah, we had Toys R Us. It had Arrowfire. We had Paul from Transformers the Show, and Pete from Transformers the Show, and Graham was kind of the Moth from Primetime Toys, was kind of doing the comparing of that. Well, he's comparing all the event, and he did an absolutely fantastic job. He's really kind of pulled this event together. It was very much the glue that held the con together, and I think you should be very proud of everything that's come out this weekend and that they've done. So, thumbs up to them off. But yeah, YouTube channel was great, and I think in a way, both that there's two reasons really that I'm making this video today, and I think one reason is that there's for a lot of the other conventions out there, there's a lot of videos that come out for it. And I think I had such a fantastic time. I've had such a fantastic time at all the TFUKcons that have been so far. I'm the 3 for 3 at the moment. Been to all 3 that there's been. And I feel that we need to get bang on the drum and make videos about TFUKcon to give it some noise in the general ether of Transformers. And the second one is, I think, listening to people who also make YouTube videos and stuff talk about burnout and talk about kind of how they continue to make videos and why they make videos in the first place. I feel that it has inspired me to try and start making videos again, really. I think that and the collab video I did with Arrowfire a couple of weeks ago both kind of lit a fuse within the side of me that is kind of gone, yeah, time to get back into it, Richard. You've had enough moping around, being all burnt out. Just turn the camera on and let's get going. So that was primarily the day of TFUKcon. And then in the evening, anarchy ensued. It was the quiz. The evening entertainment. The 40-minute quiz that took 2 hours. Hosted by none other than Alexis of Transformers the Show. The Machiavellian devil. Who he is. It was a frustrating and entertaining time that you could ever have. And sometimes getting frustrated about just some of the just insanity of it is actually fun. When getting frustrated is fun. I don't know how Alexis manages to tap into that. It manages to kind of get that pocket where you go, yeah, it's frustratingly fun. It's funnily frustrating, and he manages it every single time to just push those right buttons. We're talking of pushing the right buttons. The most surreal and hilarious part of it for me was when they were doing the quick arrow fire, or the quick fire selection of the quiz. The quick fire, they had to have a break in the middle of it. It was taking that long. But at one point, Simon, who was doing all the tech stuff, had to step away, and Alexis needed some slides changing on the screen, and because Simon wasn't there, he called Simon, and Simon Furman answered it and said, "Well, you're called Simon as well, so you'll do." He got Simon Furman to sit at the tech desk and push buttons for him, and I'm like, that was just the most surrealist thing. It's just. And that's just like the fair playness and the community spirit and the kind of just how we're all in it together kind of thing is that, Simon is one of the guests, Simon Furman, beloved Transformers G1 comic writer who, lots of the lore that we still cling to today is, coming from Simon's brain, was willing to just sit down and press a button for a drunken Alexis. It's just, yeah. So we had that round. That was one of the rounds. There was a round where there was you had to transform a transformer among a relay race, 5 times amongst your team. Back from rope, from change. 5 people change its mode. So. Our team, we came about the middle of the pack, but we got given a Voyager, whereas everyone else was having deluxe figures. It's very, I'm not sure what I'd say it was very unfair, but there's no fairness. There's no fairness in this quiz. There was no fairness at all. It was just a Machiavellian nightmare that you needed to negotiate rather than actually get correct. It's more of a mental obstacle course than an actual quiz. Luckily there was no wheel. That's our saving grace. But yeah, so we had this guy. This is Metal Hawk, a remold of Cyclonus. So knew how the transformation scheme went, and when I went to give him back to the team, so no, just keep that. It's all right. So, if you're a member of Transformers the show, and Paul Farrelly has given away your Metal Hawk, just let me know, so I can laugh at you, because you're not getting it back. Simple as that. So that was another pickup from the evening, and that's it. The quiz ended. We had a few more drinks. Went back to the other hotel. Had a few more drinks there. It was I'll stress enough. We're talking about me having the drinks here, so don't. And I'm a certified monster. So don't get the impression that it's all just drinking this convention, because that's just me. There was many people there who had a perfectly fun time chatting, collecting robots, going to panels, socializing without any drink involved. So don't get the impression that this is just a DrinkerCon. It's not. It's a very well made, well produced, small scale convention made by and run by, attended by, and they want to find guests who are also lovers of the Transformers as a whole. And that was part of the celebration of 40 years of Transformers. We had a nice selection of people who were all fans of Transformers. Simon Furman, one of the OG writers. I don't know if it sounds arrogant to say that he's a fan of Transformers, because he's like saying he's a fan of his own work. Well, if he is, though, he is. Who wouldn't be a fan of their own work? But a lot of creators make something and then could have made something 40 years ago and then just forgot about it. But Simon lives and breathes Transformers. He's still making stuff to this day. He's writing for one of the mobile games and stuff, or some of the mobile games and various other video game projects right now. So yeah, he's very much still a Transformers guy, and Lee Sullivan was saying to me, it amazes him how many of these Transformers characters that Simon just live in Simon's head rent free, that he knows just hundreds of Transformers, what their what their personalities are, what they transform into, what groups they belong to, what their allegiances are to each other, and he has it all mapped out in his head, and how he actually sees all these figures and how they interact with each other, and it's just amazing. Am I going off tangent again? I'm going off tangent again, but we were talking about the quiz, so that's fine. We're allowed to go off tangent during talks about the quiz, because the quiz had no tangibility, had no tangibility about it. Like I say, it was an obstacle course, a mental obstacle course rather than a quiz. But yeah, Transformers TFUKcon 2024, huge success to everyone involved, to everyone who attended, and I hope to see you all there next year. In the meantime, be excellent to each other, party on, dudes, and because you deserve it, Fisto!